Hello everyone, Obs here, Happy New Year. Before we begin, I just wanted to preface this episode by saying that we originally recorded this back in mid-December, just after the release date announcements. We intended to release this as our festive episode, but that plan went out the window thanks to a deluge of new crumbs and emergency episodes. We did toy with scrapping this episode altogether, but we thought we might as well release it anyway. The things we discuss are a little outdated now, so forgive us our clowning. We hope you enjoy it anyway. And we'll be taking a few weeks off in January to catch up on our winter break, but we'll see you all again very soon. In the meantime, happy listening. Hello everyone and welcome back to What a Barb, a Polin podcast. I'm Obs and I'm pleased to say I've got everyone back with me today. We're all alive and well at long last. Leggy Beans and Veg, how are you all doing? Veg, you were too ill to join us last episode. How are you feeling? Are you feeling a bit more with life today?
Yeah, I did Christmassy baking today.
Very festive.
Very cute.
Yeah, moved companies and got ill, but...
New job, new Christmas cookies.
Hello.
Thanks. It's been a while since we've all been chatting. Yeah.
We're reunited.
And yeah, feeling Christmassy.
Lek, how you doing?
I'm all right. I don't remember much of this week. Honestly.
I don't think you've slept much this week, have you, Lek?
I slept a lot last night, but prior to that, not so much.
Okay. And then, darling Beans, you're coming to us live from your phone. So if Beans' audio isn't sounding the best, it's because she's just spent an hour trying to get on the call and we're resorting to our worst case scenario. But, you know, we'd rather have you here in all your crackly glory than not. So how are you doing, my darling?
Having some technical difficulties. But other than that, I'm pretty good. Beans. Oh my god.
She's talking in the third person, but...
She's ascended.
Miss Biscuit has discovered what sunlight is and now has begun to sleep in the sunlight.
Oh, love that.
Oh, and she shit all over herself this week. Woof, that was rough.
We've all been there, Biscuit.
Yep, that's my life.
It's been quite the week. But, dear listeners, this was just going to be a short little episode for us, just to pop on, just to say hi. We just really wanted to wish you all a beautiful festive season and just, you know, have a little Christmassy pollen chat. You up for it, guys?
Yes.
But before we even begin with anything, I just want to preface this entire thing by saying that we're recording this on Sunday the 17th of December, right at the end of a truly chaotic week. And so in saying that, we have no idea at the moment if anything is going to happen on Christmas Day. But we just wanted to give you a little bit of context about when we're speaking from. So watch out for that if anything does happen. And we think we're going to release this episode towards the end of the year. So we're still reeling now from everything that's happened this week. But dear listeners, you've had a little while longer to get used to it all. So what we're going to chat about might seem like old news for you. It's new news for us. But before we get on with the rest of our festive episode, let's jump over to Lecky to see what the breaking crumbs of the week are. So, Lecky, what have you got for us this week?
Hello, Barbkin. This is Lecky speaking to you from the future, the day before this episode is due to come out. We know this episode is already a little chaotic, so we thought we'd take this opportunity to sweep up some of the crumbs that popped up over the festive period that we didn't get a chance to cover. So, first up, Nicola recently shared a story of her seemingly at some kind of photo shoot with the caption, "So it begins." We believe her makeup artist Neil Young was at the shoot, and fans have also speculated that the photo was taken by none other than Luke Newton, although this is definitely not confirmed. Either way, we are very excited to see the results of the photo shoot, no matter which of Nicola's projects it may be for. The biggest point of discussion within the fandom at the moment is a rumor that actress Masali Beduza has been cast in the role of Benedict's love interest Sophie. Now, any Bridgerton fan will know that Sophie's casting has long been a mystery that has prompted endless debate. I personally first saw Masali's name being suggested early last year by Romp Romance, but the rumor has recently resurfaced for a couple of reasons. Most intriguingly, there are rumors of an unconfirmed casting call from December 2022 for a character some have interpreted as being Sophie. Apparently, the casting call said the character would feature in one episode of the current season of a major show, not explicitly listed as Bridgerton, before going on to lead the next season. We'll link the post so you can go check it out, but the character was described, amongst other things, as a devilish charmer who is also a perceptive, kind, loyal soul with a well-concealed sadness. Could this be for Sophie, and could Masali be the actress who will be portraying her? We really don't know, and this is definitely all speculation, but we will keep you updated. And And if anyone has a copy of the casting call, we'd all love to see it. As much as we thought it would be clever if Sophie had already been snuck into the show, as we mentioned in past episodes, just like you, we are super excited to find out who has been cast, whether it's someone we've seen before on Bridgerton or someone completely new.
Definitely.
And thanks to the detective work of Polin fans, we now know the names of more cast members and characters who will be joining season 3. First up, a video was recently doing the rounds showing actor Lucas Aurelio in a scent consultation with the perfumer story. The video is actually from summer of last year and sees Lucas talking about his upcoming role in the show, with his character being described as quite a mystery, charismatic, and as having magnetism. We don't have a name for his character, so he definitely is a mystery to us, possibly yet another addition to the Lord Squad. Speaking of the Lord Squad, James Bradwell will be playing the role of Lord Basilio, most likely in the first 2 episodes of the season. Similarly, Molly Jackson Shaw will also be appearing somewhere in the first 2 episodes of the season, and she will be playing a character called Miss Hardigan. Our guess is she will be playing a debutante.
Yeah, we had a look at the bath leaks from January 2022, and we think we can spot her with the other debutantes. We're not 100% sure. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's our best guess.
It's very bad quality, but we think she might be one of them. Thank you especially to Romp Romance for sharing these crumbs. Genevieve Chenor, also known to fans as Genevieve Florence, has recently confirmed that her character's name will be Miss Clara Livingston. And we couldn't find official confirmation of this one, but we also believe that Sam Battersea will be appearing in season 3, as her agency tagged her in the season 3 teaser video. If we find out more, we will definitely let you know. In other cast news, James Foon will be playing the role of Branwell Bronte in the National Theatre's upcoming production of Underdog, The Other Bronte. The play will run in London from the 27th of March to the 25th of May if you would like to attend. Are you going to see this one?
I will be there. You know I love the Brontes.
Yes.
You know I love the Brontes.
She's already got her tickets, probably. Finally, Chris Bowers' documentary has been shortlisted for the Best Documentary Short at the upcoming Oscars, so congratulations to Chris. And just before we jump into the episode, Nicola will be celebrating her birthday on January 9th, so we just wanted to wish a huge happy birthday to Nick.
Yay!
And also, January 9th will mark 1 whole year since the This Morning leaks featuring Enchanted Pollen were first released.
Wow, a whole year left. Can you imagine?
So, a very happy anniversary to the leaks that saw us through 2023.
Happy anniversary indeed. Thanks for that, Lecky. Shall we jump on into the episode? So, of course, as we know, this week we've had all the release date shenanigans. We did an emergency episode, of course, but now we've had a few days to sit with it all. This is the first time that we've all sat together because Beans, you were at work when it dropped because it was like 9 a.m. or something on a Monday morning. Yep. How's everyone feeling about the news we've had this week? The biggest news of all, that we've got the release dates, May and June, and the season is going to be split. How are you feeling? Beans, you've been up and down, haven't you?
Yeah, my thoughts are still the same as they were when I gave my opinion last time. I knew this was going to happen because they're so stretched for content now because they had such a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not exactly surprising, but I was not of the let's split it in 2 parts boat. Like some of us.
Yeah, sorry, Beans. I really manifested that little one, didn't I?
I feel like this is an unpopular opinion, but I'm not that mad at it because it feels like we've waited a long time. That honestly, 5 months doesn't seem like the longest time in the world.
It's a drop in the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the good thing is we had an inclination that it was going to be around May-ish because of the books. So I think that mentally prepped us a little bit. I think what we were hoping was that the book would be released in between the split. So it would be an April release and then a May release. I think having it pushed back, the extra bit has just made it feel a little bit further away from us.
I think it'll be a lot of fun hearing people discuss their theories and such. Yeah. I bet people will be spiraling, reading like so much into everything, which is kind of what we like to do. So that'll be fun. I do wish it was coming a little sooner, but it is what it is. And it'll be a lot of fun spiraling with everybody during that break.
That's what I'm looking forward to. I'd have preferred a weekly drop in an ideal world. I miss that kind of theorising between weeks that you used to be able to do when shows dropped like that.
Controversial.
I wouldn't have minded that. I don't know if I mentioned this, but both seasons of Bridgerton I watched over Zoom with like a period drama watch group, and we watched 1 episode a week. So I just feel like I'm more anxious to see Polin, but I would have been fine with a weekly release also.
Yeah.
I'm fine with this release too, the split release.
It just feels like a long time away.
We all kind of want to see Polin as soon as possible, so no one disagrees with me on that.
We will get there. But that wasn't all we got this week. So obviously we talked about in our crumbs that we had the release videos and things like that. But there's been a couple of extra things. So I think we were talking about the colour scheme that we've seen. So this dark green and gold that's been continued through the newly announced rewatch that began as we speak. It began today.
Yep.
Also, I don't think many people have talked about it, but Shondaland have been using like a slightly different styling.
Yes.
We were talking about this, Lecky, weren't we?
Yes, even earlier this week before they did the release date announcement, I believe they were using kind of a blue background for their stories. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But as soon as they announced this rewatch of season 1 that they were having, they started using this dark green background, which is the same shade as the release date banner with the same kind of gold border with these yellow and white flowers. So it does seem like that might be the color scheme for Polin's season. At least it suggests that they're at least keeping that color scheme for now, if not permanently.
So the rewatch has started and they're planning on doing an episode a day up until Christmas Day. Do you think that the rewatch was supposed to be a countdown so that on Christmas Day we'd get the release date? And then obviously there was a mistake with changing the banners to prep for the rewatch announcement.
Yeah.
And it kind of forced the hand. Or do you think we're going to get something on Christmas Day?
Potentially it was just a case of there being like two folders. One was the announcement of the rewatch and one was the announcement of the release dates, and they literally just like posted the wrong one.
I think I might disagree just because I went to look at their Twitter and they don't have a banner advertising the rewatch.
Oh, they haven't replaced the rewatch.
So I'm thinking that I still think it was a mistake. They may have planned this rewatch in leading up to the anniversary of season 1. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
But very excitingly, guys, I believe we have our first ever clip from season 3. How excited are you for the clip?
Huh?
Well, I mean, explain to our listeners what you think the first clip that we received was.
And me.
Dear listeners, we've been watching the announcement video a few times, and it looks like it's a compilation of season 2, especially, right? So all these different clips about Lady Whistledown. I think Colin turns in a dance at one point, so he's there.
He stirs tea.
Yeah, he stirs some tea. And we thought that this was all old footage. But I think there is the first ever clip from season 3 in that video. Lecky, what do we have?
I'm just going to preface this by saying I'm not completely convinced. It's like a CGI version of Mayfair with the sky and the buildings. And Obs thinks that is CGI from season 3 because she doesn't recognize it.
I think that's our first look.
I haven't gone back to look at all the CGI shots from season 1 and season 2.
We're now going to have to do a trawl.
We will include an editor's note. Editor's note, I'm going to add to the confusion here. Obs and I searched all the CGI skies from seasons 1 and 2 and Queen Charlotte. I actually found a very similar match in episode 208. I think it's the same CGI sky. The clouds are identical, but it looks weirdly zoomed in the teaser. And it's worth pointing out that during this search, I noticed they tend to reuse some CGI shots of the sky. So it could potentially be from season 3, but we first glimpsed the same angle and cloud shapes, just not as closely in season 2. So, yeah.
But it's like a cloudy sky. It's a moody sky. Maybe it represents Pen's anger at the beginning of the season, her storminess.
What's hilarious about this is that on the Polin subreddit, after To Do 2022, Obs joked about, she made this meme where it's like a skeleton sitting in front of a computer answering a poll about what shade the sky would be in 301. And yeah, one of the other mods actually made this stupid poll, so everyone was weighing in on what color, what shade the sky would be.
You know what? It was a hot topic as well.
And for our first clip to potentially be of the sky.
Of the sky. So, look, you can't say that we didn't see a bit of season 3. She's looking cloudy, actually, but she's looking resplendent.
Cloudy with a chance of scandal.
Well, we can only fucking hope, can't we? So in our last Crumbs episode, Lek and I theorised about where they might split the season. So I think we all agree, we've maybe touched on it before, but I think we'll agree that it will definitely end on the Whistledown carriage plot beat, somewhere around that.
Yeah.
But Veg and Beans, do you guys have any thoughts? Do you think that they're going to split it? right as Colin finds out she's Lady Whistledown, and like the end is him looking at her in the printers and realising? Do you think they're going to cut it mid-make-out in the carriage? Or do you think it's going to end with Colin making some kind of hasty proposal? And if he does, do you think Pen's going to reject him and hop out on him? And that's the end with a rejection and she runs away? Do you think it's going to end like New Moon does, where he just suddenly drops a proposal and it just ends on her being like, what? What are you thinking?
New Moon. I've never watched the Twilight movies.
Maybe in our next podcast.
No, so I was thinking that when I was re-listening to you guys talking last week, like, because it does seem like they filmed the carriage, right, in block 2, which would be episode 4.
Yes. But as we were saying, episode 4 is a bit of a turn in the season anyway.
Yeah.
So it has like a natural split.
I don't know if they'd want people to like come back for the carriage. I just don't know.
I had some thoughts about this. I think that with the split, I think that we are getting a rejection. After the carriage scene, I think we're going to get the rejected proposal because it works as a hook. It's interesting because how could Pen, who wants Colin more than anything else in her life, reject the love of her life? Although I'm sure we'll understand more of her motivations once we see like the Queen Charlotte shenanigans, like the hunt for Lady Whistledown. But I think to protect him, and because she thinks he doesn't love her, she will reject his proposal. And then I think they're hoping the audience will be invested in how are they going to get together? How could she reject the love of her life? And how is he going to win her back? How are they going to resolve the drama about Lady Whistledown?
Because Lecky, you and I were trading some voice memos the other day trying to get our heads around what we thought episode 4 was going to be. And we were saying that if they end the first part of the season on Colin realising that she's Lady Whistledown, but it's just like that moment, right? So we don't see his reaction, we don't see the fallout, we just see his shock. I don't know that narratively that's as interesting for the audience, because the audience, we know she's Lady Whistledown.
Yeah.
And so if we don't see any fallout from him, then it's just like a bit of it's not as interesting as us seeing his reaction, seeing the dramatic carriage scene, and then, like you say, Lecky, the audience also being blindsided along with Colin, because when she rejects him, he's been blindsided. We are also going to be narratively blindsided by it. And I think that's a more interesting hook. I also think that the way that the drops and the show works and what the show is known for, it'll be more interesting for the audience if they can talk about the carriage scene, because I imagine that will be the topic of everyone's going to have, of like, oh my God, did you see the carriage scene?
It'll be the hype of the season.
Yeah.
Whereas if they put the carriage scene in the second half of the season, I think the mirror scene would be more of that for part 2. So after part 2's dropped, everyone's going to be like, oh my God, the mirror scene.
Right.
Because that's the reputation that Bridgerton has, and that's the draw that it has.
Yeah.
I think I'm on the side of them having the scene, having the fallout, the argument. Similar to in episode 7 of season 2, where Anthony and Kate are together, and then the next morning there's the aftermath and something dramatic ends that the audience didn't see coming, where Kate gets injured. That's how I'm thinking.
My thoughts are, thinking about romancing Mr. Bridgerton and maybe how they could rework the story a little bit. If they go with the theme of the blackmail plot, what we could see is they have the carriage scene, Colin finds out that she's Whistledown, and then perhaps they rework it so somebody professes that they are Lady Whistledown later in the episode. And so the second half of the season is the fallout, the build up to the blackmail plot and Colin and Pen's relationship after that fallout. So we still get the sex scene, but there's like, let's say a ball after, or maybe at Debling's or Tilly's or whatever. And then that's when somebody says, I'm Lady Whistledown. And then we get the split in the season.
That's an interesting idea because, like that would add another layer of drama to it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And, we're all going on the basis that the carriage will be in episode 4, but Nicola has said that the timeline is going to be pretty sped up when it comes to them too. So we could be completely off. Like that could happen in episode 3 and run an advanced timeline.
I think she probably meant in the first couple of episodes that's pretty sped up. Because I did say that they are deriving a lot from the book itself. So I think it could be that, but they just sort of like mix things up a little bit, because I think having the blackmail plot in the second half of the season will add to that drama, because now Colin knows like who Lady Whistledown is, and it's going to be a moment where how is he going to step up and help her, and how is that going to shape their relationship? If that does happen. This is a Beans prediction from her ass.
What's the narrative arc and the hook that people are going to be brought back into? So within the book, it's a lot about Polin versus the world, and it'd be nice if the first half of the season was the you know, the lighthearted, will they, won't they, repairing their friendship. And then the second half of the season becomes them two united against everything else that's coming for them.
Just to piggyback on it being episode 4, I feel like they haven't had their first kiss, we don't think, by episode 3. So to have like the first kiss and like the carriage scene in the same episode, I feel like maybe too rushed.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to have early sweetness with Polin before it devolves into the passionate side of the relationship. And I also feel like the carriage scene is just like so big that they'd maybe want that to be the big event in an episode.
Yeah, because episode 3 could be their first kiss and the fallout of that mess.
Yeah.
And then episode 4 becomes the ramping up of passion and then the explosion of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But obviously, that wasn't all we got. We got more than just the news about the split season. In our Breaking Crumbs of our last episode, Lecky mentioned that Shondaland had updated its season 3 synopsis a little bit. So most of it is the same. They've kind of tweaked with the wording a little bit, but a few of the new details have got us thinking. We didn't really have time to go into it then, so we thought we'd bring it up now to get all of your thoughts on it. So the key new parts from the updated synopsis. Lady Veg, do you fancy stepping up for a bit of synopsis reading? You usually dabble more in the pamphlets, but you're a girl of many talents.
Yeah, should I do an accent or...
Just do your Lady Veg.
Or do a Dumois accent.
Secure those dance cards because Bridgerton's 3rd season is going to be a thrilling ride of love, betrayal, friendship, and honor. And at the center of it all, #Polin.
That was really well done.
Stop, thanks.
So we definitely knew that our Friends to Lovers tale would cover love and friendship naturally, and of course the Penelope's drama too, invoking friendship. But the mention of betrayal and honour, I definitely knew. What do we make of them? Maybe firstly we should tackle the idea of honour. So we were talking about inside Bridgerton and how the creative team were really interested in the idea of Colin's fixation on honour. So a lot of this in season 1. What do you think they mean by honour? Do you think that's related to Polin? I mean, we can only assume so. They're the main love story, but how are you thinking?
I do think it's related to Polin because it's so much of Colin's characterization. His personality is so much his fixation with honour, as they refer to it in Inside Bridgerton. Yeah. And I feel like it is going to be the thing that motivates him to help Pen find a husband even at his own detriment. Yeah. So I feel like that is a Polin snippet of the synopsis.
And we've seen before in the season, because you could say that like a fixation on honour is like he's only interested in doing the right thing, so it looks like he's doing the right thing, so he looks like a gentleman. But I think what we've seen in Colin's character is it comes from a very genuine place of him genuinely wanting to do the right thing for people, genuinely not wanting to hurt people. He is upset when he's hurt people. He goes away and carries it with him as a burden. He tries to make amends where he can. So it's coming from a very real place for him.
Yeah. I feel like Bridgerton has themes that fit every character throughout. So for instance, like with Anthony last season, it was about his place in the family, but we also had that with Colin, Ben, and Eloise.
Their place in the family.
Yeah, things like that. So I think that it's going to apply to the main couple, but I also feel as if, for instance, when we talk about betrayal, you know, there is going to be Pen and Eloise, there's going to be Pen and Colin, but there's also going to be Lady Danbury and Violet because we're going to still have the fallout from Queen Charlotte.
Yeah.
And those revelations. So I think that there is a general theme for multiple characters. So unfortunately, it's fairly vague. Yeah. And I think it will apply to the main character, but the theme is an overall for all the characters, which will then tie into the main, like, message for the season.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a good point because we've seen in past seasons that the subplots, the B storylines, they are all kind of connected to the main storyline. So to have echoes of the same themes resonating even with Fran and John, etc., would make sense.
Yes, Michael potentially.
Yeah.
There's like thematic resonance throughout the season of what the main characters are caught up with. You see that carried through. So like Duty in season 2, that resonates throughout the other siblings trying to figure out their place in society, like Eloise having to step out, the Shams and their background. Exactly. I think when it comes to Polin, one of the ways Colin's honour might come into it is he's going to feel compelled to do the right thing by Penelope, but it's coming from a place of devotion and love and affection and growing realisation. But when we're talking about him making a proposal after something like the carriage scene, that comes from a place for him of, I love you, I want to marry you, but he's not going to convey that particularly well. And I wonder if Penelope is going to reject him because she thinks he's doing it from a place of honour.
Yeah, exactly.
And that his actions right from the beginning of trying to fix their friendship, carrying through to wanting to marry her, she's going to mistake that for, you feel bound by honour to do this because...
Like Marina.
You've compromised me. Yeah, because that's tangled up with the story with Marina. But Beans, you just picked up on the other keyword there, betrayal. So what are we making of the term betrayal? Do you think this is another one that's going to end up resonating throughout the other characters too?
Yeah, as I mentioned, Danbury and Violet. And this, again, is just purely speculation. If we're talking about Cressida and Eloise, like if they become the unexpected friends of the season, and if they do follow the sort of blackmail plot line, there would be a betrayal in that friendship as well. And I think with Bridgerton, as we know, they would probably make those characters become closer in a way.
To really twist the knife.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Eloise ends up betraying Cressida to save Pen when she realizes that Pen is in danger.
And of course, Eloise is still processing the betrayal that she suffered.
Right.
She's still carrying that with her. We know that from Queen Charlotte, that she's still in that headspace. You know, so that on her part is still going to be a huge block. She feels like there's been this big betrayal. But do we think Eloise might betray Pen?
I was just going to say that.
I don't think she'd do it intentionally.
Well, I think it might be out of pettiness maybe and still hurt feelings. Like, I think that there may be a moment where Eloise can interject in something that is happening with Pen and be like, oh yeah, that's out of base. But she might just conveniently be like, oh, I wasn't paying attention.
I feel like we discussed this before, that Eloise, there's a very good chance that because she's still in this place where she's very hurt, that she might make this offhand comment where she's not really thinking about what she's saying.
Feeling careless.
That Cressida or somebody else picks up and like runs with it. She might not even realize in the moment what she's done.
And we saw last season that, and it's a beautifully vibrant part of her character, but she has this tendency to act without thinking about the consequences. And it's one of the many reasons that Pen has always kept her at a distance from her work, because Pen has the ability to step back a little bit to try and think about the fallout situations. Whereas if Eloise gets involved, she can do things that, well, like going to see Theo. For her, she was like, it's fine, I'm just going to see him, without thinking of the ramifications that could have further down the line.
Yeah, the social context.
And it's the case of, is the betrayal going to be her not realizing that she's doing something that's going to have a bigger ramification later on? And that could be a good character point for her, because if she accidentally betrays Penelope, that will be a point where maybe she stops and takes stock of things and is then drawn to protect her best friend, because I don't think that she'd want to maliciously hurt her.
Something that just occurred to me, it hasn't been confirmed, but there's speculation that Theo's character was returning in season 3 now because his agency tweeted, you know, the season 3 announcement video. If he is coming back, yes, it's unconfirmed, so this is just me speculating. But I wonder, because Eloise and Theo, they left off on such a negative note that I don't feel like they're going to pick up that relationship. It doesn't make sense with her moving forward with Philip in the future. But I feel like maybe they could have like a tense run-in where they try to get some closure, and Eloise, maybe like Theo makes kind of a negative remark about Lady Whistledown, and Eloise maybe makes a slip up there where she accidentally alludes to Pen or her friend or something like that, and he finds out that way. I feel like maybe that's something she could accidentally let slip to him, potentially.
I will say I do not believe Theo is coming back, because at the time of filming, I believe he had a role in
Lord of the Rings.
That, and wasn't he also, he was also in a play at the time too. He was in a live theater play. So I think honestly his agency just reposted it as like one of our actors was part of.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Yeah, I was just saying speculation based on...
Right. But there was no true indication, because anytime he would do something, like post something from Bridgerton, it was from season 2. And he really didn't lead on that he was actually filming it or anything.
I think the core of what Lecky's saying still works regardless of who it is.
Yeah. I was just clearing up some of the rumors.
I will say that I think I agree with you, but based on that hashtag, that story, if there is a potential of him returning, maybe it could play out that way.
Yeah, that could work.
We also got a few extra little crumbs about our nearest and dearest pirate. Veg, can you give us a little read through? I don't know if you can maintain the accent for this whole thing. I'm sorry.
Oh God, I've committed to it now.
You've committed. I don't know what this alter ego is. It's like gossip veg. Veg, how is our darling Colin?
In the meantime, Colin has returned from his summer travels with a sexy swagger and a new look. But his oldest best friend, his pen, is giving him the cold shoulder, and not surprisingly, he's disheartened to realize that the one person who always appreciated him in any form isn't there for him. So, eager to win back her friendship, Colin comes up with a brilliant plan to help mentor Penelope in the ways of confidence as an aid in her search for a husband this season. But when Colin's bravado comes out to play, it's hard to put away, and his lessons start working a little too well. XOXO, Gossip Girl.
That was good. I mean, I'm not American, so I can't confirm whether that was good or not. Is that endorsed?
That's fine.
It was a beautiful attempt.
So most of that synopsis is pre-existing. So if it sounds familiar to you, that's why. But, you know, there are a couple of extra little gems in there. We've spent the week naturally fawning over the description of Penelope as his oldest best friend, his pen.
His pen.
I think the reference to Penelope appreciating him in any form and then her not being there for him is very interesting. Mm-hmm. I think if you combine those with the new mention of Colin's bravado coming out to play, it raises a question which I think we've mused on before a little bit about how genuine Colin's swagger is. Because bravado, whilst it's synonymous with swagger, I think it alludes to maybe it not just being pure confidence, pure deep felt confidence, and it's maybe covering up deeper insecurities and vulnerabilities. And, you know, surely as a leading man for his own season, he can't be suddenly appearing in his season perfectly rounded as a character, having done all of his development off screen. So what do we think of the word choice and the fact that he's so disheartened that Penelope, once appreciated him in any form, isn't there for him anymore?
Oof.
What a question. I think it's going to manifest. I'm not sure on how we're going to see his development to the swagger in the first place. And that is something I'm really curious about.
Mm-hmm. What that actually looks like in reality on the screen.
Yeah, I think the cold shoulder thing is going to be a proper moment. It's what we've all sort of speculated on, and I remain as convinced as ever, like, that there'll be something, her turning down a dance, or her calling him Mr. Bridgerton when they first see each other, something that wounds his ego.
Do you think he's gone away, done all this internal work? Because, you know, they had the conversations in 202 about, but if you believed in me, if you believed that I could be this person, then that maybe I could be that person. Yeah. I think his confidence is tied up with Penelope because she believed in him and she's been there for him and she's loved him throughout all those messy forms, even when he messed up. Harken back to the dance in 108 where she was like, you should never apologise for this, you should never be embarrassed for how you feel. If when she rejects him, that's really going to knock at him, make him feel vulnerable, because one of the foundational pillars in his life has been knocked down. Yeah,
and we said that from his perspective, he had a great time in 208, right? He went away, he was like, I've helped out Penelope, I've smashed a scam plot, I'm the talk of the town with all my friends. Like, he was having a great time, right? So from his perspective, he's just been like, job well done for however many months he's been sailing the high seas.
And he realises that the person that he thought he was has done this terrible thing.
I also feel like regardless of whether Penelope responds to his letters, if there is that element in the off season, if he comes back, I still feel like he will be thinking of Penelope in terms of their last interaction.
When he was the hero.
So he'll be going to see this person who just called him astonishing, who thinks he's the best person in the world.
Trash now.
Right. And so I feel like when there is that cold shoulder moment, I feel like we'll see him visibly deflate, because even if he has gained some confidence in the off season, regardless of whether or not she responded to his letters, the realization that the person who helped him gain that confidence and find that in himself, if she no longer believes in him and no longer believes that he's astonishing, I feel like that will make him question himself.
Right. I suppose the other question is, and we might end up touching on this more when we do our eventual rereading Mr. Bridgerton. In the books, Colin is very popular in society. That's always the place he's held. He's popular, he's charming. And that might be something they're going to touch on now, because the episode is called Out of the Shadows. And the first episode title usually refers to the main character, you know, Diamond of the First Water, capital R. So is Colin going to come back in the ton and suddenly be a bit more the centre of attention, garnering interest? But then, as we see in the book, he gets actually very frustrated with that public perception. And it's okay at first, we thought of as like the charming, carefree one, the swaggery one, but he really ends up resenting it. And part of that is because of how Lady Whistledown portrays him. Do we think he's going to get annoyed that people are only now interested in him as a person now that he's come back new? And that, you know, he's like, it's a bit more vacant because the person who appreciated me in every single form I've been, every messy form I've been, doesn't didn't think of me.
When he was lost.
When he was lost,
Right.
yeah. Where it's actually frustrating if people are only now interested in you because he's come back with a cool coat.
That's such a good point, because I think one of the bigger tie-ins is going to be the fact that Antony is now married and Ben has a reputation of being a playboy. So I think that when he gets back into town, more of the mamas and single ladies are going to focus on the fact that he is...
It's like he's the next eligible one.
Yeah.
Not only the most eligible one, but isn't the perceived rake like his brothers, right?
Yeah.
And so it's going to be like people rushing at him to marry a Bridgerton, and he probably is going to start to resent that.
He's a third son, which is a bit of it. It's like, he's only a third son, but at least he's a Bridgerton. I mean, that's a devastating assessment of, personally, of someone who's trying to find his place in the world, to be like, well, you may not be great in this way, but, at least your family name covers you, as opposed to, we're interested in you because of who you are and how you think and what you think of the world.
Yeah.
And it might be within that he realizes that Penn is the only person who has seen him, even in his family as well.
Yeah. Who's seen him and appreciated him, and eventually he'll learn that she's loved him in all of his iterations.
I just want to say really quickly, this is obviously friends to lovers, but I will say that if anybody claims to see you or know you better, you are not obligated to love them if you do not love them.
That is true.
We're going to say this from a healthy standpoint, but these are friends to lovers, and they're going to be natural feelings that develop. However, if there's a situation in your life where somebody is like, I love you, and they've known you for a really long time, if you do not love them, you are not required to give them that romantic love.
Yes.
And we've said that with Penelope. It's core, I think, the breakdown of their friendship, that he doesn't owe her an apology for not loving her before or not loving her in the same way. He's never owed her an apology. You don't owe a person an apology for not loving someone, for not ever loving someone, or for not arriving at the destination at the same time they do, whatever shade of love that ends up being.
Yeah.
Right.
The reason he needs to make an apology, and the reason he'll feel bad, is because it was a friendship, which was a real friendship, that he ended up
blundering.
And so, the apology is that he damaged that friendship, not that he owed her love.
Right.
Speaking of our Miss Penn, the synopsis also had the line, Gossip February.
Penn's growing presence in the town and on the marriage market makes it all the more difficult to keep that separate life a secret.
So again, a very familiar line, but there is a phrase that's new. So the reference to Penelope's growing presence on the marriage market is new. Any thoughts? I mean, we've definitely suspected that she's going to find success eventually she's going to find success, but what are you thinking?
I did have some thoughts on this, because when the original synopsis was released, a lot of us were thinking about the Odyssey parallels and thought that Penelope would be attracting a lot of attention from suitors.
A lot of suitors.
And then Colin would need to, fend them off.
And prove himself.
Right. And I suppose some of the aforementioned Lord Squad could potentially be suitors. But what I really think is that the growing presence doesn't necessarily mean success. It could just mean her visibility. So even if there's just one person, Deb Lane, and he's dragging her away from the wall. She's a wallflower. So if he is dragging her away from the wall onto the dance floor, out on promenades, giving her this visibility, she's no longer the wallflower who is watching and observing everything. She's in the middle of it all. So that's what I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's probably going to have to write about herself too as Lady Whistledown. Yeah. And we know in the book she's not particularly nice to herself. So I wonder if that will also play a role in that too, and how people are going to talk about her.
And if that will deepen Colin's resentment towards Whistledown.
Oh, true.
Because we need him ideally, because we know from 204 that his opinion of Whistledown wasn't great, but we need a more updated opinion. And if maybe Whistledown is making snarky comments about Colin, or hyping up the fact that he's now this eligible Bridgerton and tapping into that insecurity we were talking about a few minutes ago. Yeah. And if she's negatively talking about Penn, his friend, he's gonna be fuming. Yeah. Right. So that increases the anger towards what will end up being the Whistledown, because we need that reveal to be fueled by fear and anger as well.
It's also interesting because I feel like Lady Whistledown is going to be less of a society paper and more of a diary. And it'll be interesting to see that tonal shift, because it's definitely going to be, she's going to have to write about herself.
Yes.
And it'll be interesting to see what she says. If she can divide her diary mode and her business mode.
Yeah, how can she separate? Because Nicola has said that Penelope thinks as Lady Whistledown as something outside of herself.
Right.
Whereas she needs to have the moment of reckoning where she really realises that it is herself. And this thing, if she's visible in a ton, if she's got a growing presence, then she has to write about herself, because it's far more suspicious if everyone's talking about her, that if Whistledown doesn't mention her at all, that's way too suspicious. So she's going to have to.
Yeah. But as much as we talk about Lady Whistledown and Penelope being two separate people that need to merge into one,
entities,
when she's writing about herself, I feel like that is the real Pen. When she sneaks in kind of these like barbs against herself, like that is the way Lady Whistledown talks. But I feel like she does believe that to some level. She doesn't like her yellow dresses, you know, for example. And so I feel like even if she has the success with Deblane, first of all, to keep sounding like Lady Whistledown, she'll have to throw a Barb in here and there. And I also feel like she will believe it to some extent. If Lady Whistledown is like, oh, and the youngest Featherington was out on the arm of Lord Deblane again, and then there's some kind of like cutting remark, but it's just kind of offhand. And
that's such truthful reality as well, because we all have that voice, right? That does that. It's just she puts it onto paper.
Right.
We know that we don't know anything.
True words never spoken.
Episode 26 of We Know Nothing. But yes, please go on.
We've got to just remind ourselves, humble ourselves sometimes. We don't know anything.
And in conclusion, we have no idea.
So, what I was going to say, we have the stationery kit thing that was released, and there's one piece in it that says something like,
it's this author finds herself compelled to share the most curious of news.
Yeah. So I think that's them announcing that Colin and Penelope are engaged.
Which was such a weird thing to put in like a stationery kit, right?
What else could that be? Right. Oh.
Yes. And Veg, please don't get sick again, because we're going to need you for our block 3 speculation, because I think block 3 is where we're going to really be getting into the back and forth between them, and this is going to tie in about Penelope's emotions in the situation. So stay away from germs and keep thinking on that.
Wash your hands.
I have to say, guys, when we got on this call, I thought we were going to have like a really light-hearted festive yay
holidays.
And we just happy holidays, everyone.
It was our mistake to talk about the synopsis for Crumbs, because if you give us a piece of information about Bridgerton, we'll pour over every single tiny detail.
I mean, isn't that the truth? To bring this back to be a little bit more festive and a little bit more cheerful, I had just a couple of questions for you, a little light-hearted end of year Q&A. First of all, where would you prefer to spend Christmas Day, with the Bridgertons or the Featheringtons? Now, in our last Q&A episode, we talked about where we'd want to spend an ordinary day. Are you feeling the same?
No.
So,
No.
Veg, you wanted to bitch and stitch with the Featheringtons.
Yeah. But Christmas food is quite important to me, and I feel like the Bridgertons will be a lot more with it. They've got a good staff that's consistent, you know. They don't have to keep firing people. So
I mean, they've got Colin in the house, so
yeah, you'll have to fight him over the tray of biscuits, but
true.
there will be biscuits.
That's what I'm saying.
So you're going to the Bridgertons for food.
It's important to have fun family moments as well, which I feel like is less likely with the Featheringtons on Christmas.
I think my answer is the same as the Q&A episode. I'd rather be with the Bridgertons because they're a happy family, and it's going to be really loving, and it'll be like that Christmas environment that you always
warmth.
think of. Yeah.
What are you, Beans?
I would say I also would go to the Bridgertons for the food.
Yeah.
But also I feel like there would be...
Hey, I bet Varley can make a mean roast potato.
Yeah. I
Potatoes
just
would be
also
good.
feel like there would be like unnecessary arguing with the Featheringtons, and I'm all about peace and quiet on the holidays.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, that seems like too much
Yeah.
of my real Christmas. I'd rather go to the Bridgertons.
Yeah. Exactly.
Do you think Varley makes like shepherd's pie, but it's just like potato on potato?
Plowman's pie.
Obs, where would you like to be?
You know what? I'm going to go to the Bridgertons because, Lecky, I think we're the same. I think we're not au fait with Happy Christmases.
Yeah.
And I think deep down, there's a part of me that would like to have a genuine family Christmas at one point. So also think of the charades and stuff. Like, you've got good team numbers up there. You can have a proper games night.
They're competitive too, so they probably play like some intense games and stuff like that, and I'm so down for that.
And I love chaos. So let's all go to the Bridgertons then. Thank you. Let's pop to Ranger's house, Veg. Second question, what do you think Pen and Colin would get each other for Christmas? Now, the Pen and Colin, they're not married to Polin, so don't be cheating there. This is like pre-marriage, season 2 vibes before Colin ruins it all. Like,
So the Christmas before season 3.
well, no, because the Christmas before season 3 is Pen being miserable in the Featherington country estate and Colin having a great time.
Yeah, she's being miserable, But Colin is in Europe buying her charms for a charm necklace, potentially.
He's doing his Christmas
He's Christmas shopping for her.
She just doesn't know it yet.
So we're going purely friend vibes and then unrequited love vibes?
Like astonishing vibes. You are astonishing, you're special to me vibes. Like we're talking like staircase scene, the end of season 2.
So Colin's still in like, this is my friend, but Pen is like, this is my lover.
Yes, before it goes to shit.
Okay, so let me get back into the mindset of when I was in love with Tuba Boy. I think that
Tuba Boy.
Colin would probably get her something meaningful, but he doesn't realize it's meaningful.
That's what I think too.
Yeah.
Literally a quill pen or some shit.
A pair of like gloves in Bridgerton blue with like bees on them.
Oh.
Yeah. Or butterflies because that's her family's crest.
Yeah.
And then she gets him like the finest ascot money could buy or something, or like she gets him something that just screams like romance, a bag of biscuits.
I think I would say the complete works of Byron or something, because she knows he likes Byron. Remembering their conversation from a year prior.
She gets him that. Also, she hand makes heart-shaped biscuits with
Vali makes some biscuits with Vali.
Yeah, and then she makes Genevieve like sew a heart so that she can like give him a bookmark.
Oh,
and she spent hours on it.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, it only took me 5 minutes. Don't worry.
Veg, you had a good answer for this. What was your answer?
I didn't have a good answer.
Yeah, you did.
Oh.
So my answer is that I asked the internet because I couldn't think of a good answer. You have great answers, but interestingly, based on the internet's
who have you gone to?
collective words,
Who have you gone to? The words of wisdom.
chat.openai.com. Now, I don't condone the replacement of creativity with AI, but
What did you ask it?
I asked, what would Penelope Featherington and Colin Bridgerton get each other for Christmas before they're in love? Okay. Penelope to Colin, a thoughtful book. Penelope is known for her love of reading and intelligence. She might choose a book that Colin would enjoy, perhaps a novel with adventure or humour. And get ready for this, guys. Colin to Penelope.
Oh God.
Colin is adventurous and often away from home. He might pick up a small token from his travels, like a unique piece of jewellery.
Perfect.
Fuck off. The Open.ai is on the Necklace Truthers train. I've never been happier.
It's official.
Do you think Penelope would get him a copy of the Odyssey to be like, maybe we should do some reading and some thinking and some learning?
No, he would get her a copy of the Odyssey, like not thinking.
Oh, dear me.
Were they in the era of Jane Austen?
You know what? They were, and I was annoyed about this before you got on the call beans, because I was going to suggest that
He gets her
one of them would give each
persuasion.
other Emma.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Oh, I said Emma.
I said
because it was more
persuasion.
towards like, and Emma was published at the end of 1815, so I was pissed off about it because I missed out just by a year. Let me see Persuasion.
They can read it on their honeymoon.
Because Persuasion is kind of like, well, they're old lovers, but they also were like friends.
No, 20th of December 1817. So maybe after they've been together a few years.
Yeah, read it to their kids.
And you know what? Once they're married, he won't stop giving her meaningful presents, and she'll miss the days when he didn't realise he was in love with them. My last little festive question. Let's say that the pollen gods have been slightly merciful and granted you a little Christmas miracle, and you can have any 3 character stills from the first half of season 3. So any 3 characters or combination of characters, but they cannot show pollen because, as we know, the pollen gods may be merciful, but they're also cruel in a way. Which characters are you going to choose to get a sneak peek of? Who do you want to see?
I want to see the reaction shot of the carriage cleaning company.
Footman insert
Just a traumatized
footman.
Yeah.
Like him open it, like him with the door open, and he's just looking inside.
Ideal.
Just Footman John.
Anthony seeing the bill for the cleaning, stain removal.
Okay, my other answers: Cantony looking cute because I like Cantony, and some kind of hint of the John and Michael situation.
That's a good one.
Oh, like a tense little moment.
Yeah. I'm kind of veering on this where like I want to get as many clues as possible. So if there's no pollen, I'm going to say Debbling, because Colin may be lurking in the background.
dying to see
Maybe
Debbling.
just like a piece of like, maybe his elbow is there and we'll be able to determine from the pattern on his coat it's like that tiger coat or something. And then Elle, because again, her friend maybe lurking in the background. And then I was thinking the Lord Squad, because I would like to see if they are indeed Colin's like bros or if they're like suitors.
Okay. I want to see 3 stills of my favorite extra in different parts of the show.
I love it. Beans, you've let me down there, to be honest. And it's very rare that you let me down.
Why?
Because I thought you would be right at the front of the sails, captaining away the good ship Prudence.
Oh,
Right.
Where are they?
Yeah, but my
Nowhere in sight.
love for my extra goes further.
Can't you spare a still for Prudence?
Yeah, okay, well, we can do Prudence and then he'll be in the background. Like, wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lecky, I'm with you. I really want to see Debling because I really want to see his colour scheme for his costuming. I think that'll be so interesting to me.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, and we've got a glimpse of Anderson and we've got a glimpse of Dankworth on set and we never got a glimpse of Sam Phillips. So I really want to see him. I'd say a Francesca John Michael would be brilliant. And then what else? Oh, like a really funny tense moment, like where you see Marcus Anderson and Violet together
With Lady Jamboree.
not together, but like, and then Lady Jamboree in the back just seething.
Yeah, comical. Like, yeah, still, that would be funny.
Or him, Violet, and Portia.
I would also accept that.
Now that would be the
would be
best.
funny.
The Grosvenor off would be my dream.
Yeah.
And if you could get another Polin still, again from the first 4 episodes, let's say that we've been granted a Christmas miracle of miracles, what would you actually want to see? A still. Any still from our suspected first 4 episodes?
Colin looking somewhat anguished. Like, Colin, just some hint of what. No,
Just
okay.
hint of the pain.
I know how that sounds.
Bet it's Christmas.
Colin doit suffer a little bit. I just want to see, like, even jealousy is fine because that's just going to make it so, like, it's just going to make his reaction and the scenes that come after it so good when if he feels like that.
And the acting of that moment will be so brilliant.
I'm going to go romantic, and I'm going to say I want to see his face when he sees Pen walk down the aisle. We'll never get this.
No, you've not listened.
First 4 episodes.
Lecky, first 4, but part one.
Part 1. Okay, then as a crumbs gatherer, I would like to see his face after the carriage scene to know for certain that she rejects him because he'll look heartbroken.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I thought you were going to go a romantic one.
My romantic one was the wedding, and he said I can't do the wedding because it's part 1. So I want the clues for what's going to be in part. Yeah.
Right, I will be the romantic one, and you know I never say that.
Oh, are you going to say Berkeley Square? That would be.
Of course I can. If I can have, if I can
No.
have any still.
Yeah, I changed my mind. That's also what I'd like to see because I want to see them dancing because I want to know that they're like the mirror scene. I want to know that they have adapted a scene that isn't actually in the books and that we get to see them dance.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Do you know what? I'll take Berkeley Square as well.
Beans, what Polin one are you wanting?
I actually really like the one that we got with them, like in the hallway or whatever. I love moments of tension, but I would like if there was like a moment where like Colin has her like hand on, or his hand on her face. I was gonna say her hand on her face, like Colin just put her hand on.
He's like here.
Feel yourself.
Just like, thanks for this.
Yeah.
Great.
Like something that's tense. Because for me, like the things that give me the most like butterflies in my own romantic life are like tiny things that like your partners do, like pushing your hair behind your ear, like touching your neck or stuff like that.
It's the hand flex, you know. It's like the hand contact, the hand flex from Pride and Prej.
Yeah, we're going Regency, so just like a slight hand on the small of her back
tiniest
as
graze.
they're going into a ball or something.
We're talking about Colin, who has on multiple occasions just grabbed her hand, but you know.
Right.
Yeah.
But like something like that.
It'll be different.
Or maybe a still from a lesson would be really fun. That would be really fun, like a playful still. And finally, Clown Nose is on. What do you think we'll actually get on Christmas Day? Do you think we're going to get anything? Or could it just be like a throwback to the previous... Like last year we had Let's Celebrate Season 1, the anniversary.
Jeez.
Or do you think that the countdown was originally meant to be to the release date and so we won't get anything because we've already had the release date?
I do still a little bit think that, but I think if there is something, it'll be...
Like maybe a new still.
New still would be good.
Now that would be great because last year we got a still from Queen Charlotte.
Yeah.
We got the Lady Danbury shot. Do you remember? I think that was just at the turn of the new year. So just after the sex plotline article was dropped, actually. And, you know, Queen Charlotte was coming out at the same time. Queen Charlotte came out in May. So we might get a still.
Yeah.
Listeners, you'll know by now whether we did or not. Insert many clown noises here. But speaking of the end of the year, 2023, what a year.
Oh.
For us in the fandom, there have been ups, there have been downs, there's been to-dums, there's been blurs. It's the year that wasn't, but in many ways, the year that was a lot of other things.
I'll say this because I feel like it's going to also help a lot of people too. I saw this the other day and it brought me a lot of comfort. And somebody was talking about how they had a really bad year, and a person commented and said, some years are for questions and some years are for answers. This year was for questions, and hopefully next year answers those questions.
Beautiful.
So hopefully that brings somebody some comfort.
I mean,
We have asked a lot of questions.
Yeah, and we will be getting our answers in May. So already a year of answers.
What color the sky will be in episode 301.
now, Lecky, I know that you love a whistle up and a whistle down, but because it's Christmas, let's not dwell on the whistle downs. So what is everyone's Polin whistle up for the year? It can be something that happened. It's something that we got, whether it was a to-dum or a still or a leak, a memory from the fandom. Lecky, you're not allowed to get sentimental and say it was us.
Okay.
I don't think we'd count as a whistle up for you. I think we've been inflicted on you.
I'm going to spin a negative into a positive and say that our live reaction to Doom was honestly very funny in retrospect. So that's my answer.
Veg, what's your Polin fandom whistle up?
Oh, so I was going to say, you guys, I would say Polin highlight. Once, we had got over the fact we weren't getting a clip, dissecting the pictures from Tudum was just lovely.
getting
And,
some pictures.
especially that leaning in picture. Oh,
That was a good one.
Beautiful. Beans, what's your whistle up?
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
You know, there's a lot that's happened this year that I think
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking back to they were still doing filming at the beginning of this year. So we got so many crumbs from filming that that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Just all of that kind of stuff.
Enchanted Pollen.
Yeah. You know what my whistle up, and again, it's concerning because it was the 9 days into January, was Enchanted Polin. That whole day within the fandom was so funny. And it was given to us out of nowhere. And it was the best clip of them. It's one of those things that it keeps you going because it was so lovely and it reminded you of all the reasons why you're so excited.
Can I change my answer? I will say that the blurry photo of married Pollen that Obs captured has given me a lot of peace. You can't really see anything, but just seeing them standing alongside each other and the Bridgerton family, we know that their journey ends there.
All's well that ends well.
Yeah, and that gave me a lot of comfort.
I mean, you can't see her body, so maybe it's decapitated Pen after the Queen's had away.
It's true, yeah.
But there we go, my lovely Barb friends.
Did Beans answer?
no, I don't mean Spanish.
Beans, sorry, my darling. Beans, what's your whistle up of the year?
I don't know, all of it.
Oh,
You know what? It's been
a year.
the one thing about this fandom is we've always been able to find the dark humour in it.
Been 12 months.
It's been far more than 12 months.
I saw a post the other day. I posted a churro truck thing, and I looked at when it was posted 246 days ago. I said, huh? I did not realize that it was that many days. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You know what? It's been a constant. I think personally we've all had many ups and downs, but it's been a constant. But there we go. I was going to say that we know this is a short episode, but I'm looking now at how long we've talked for. It's a normal length episode. But what we really just wanted to do with this episode was we just wanted to say happy holidays. Thank you all for hanging out with us this year. We know it's been quite the roller coaster, but we've made it through together. And you know what? 2024 really is actually going to be the year of Polin this time. I'll never forget how last December I made a 31-day countdown to Polin New Year. And, it wasn't. But 2024 will. No false alarms this time. And just as a reminder, it actually beautifully coincides with Book Polin's 200th anniversary. So I think it actually has worked out quite perfectly in the end. Have you guys got any last thoughts? Any festive holiday wishes for everyone?
Just thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We will be back again at some point in the new year. But until then, no matter whether you're celebrating a certain holiday or if you're just celebrating the festive period in general, we hope you're having the most beautiful time. We also know it can be a bit of a difficult one for people, so we're sending all our love out to you and your loved ones. But until we see you again, Lecky, where can everyone find us?
You can find us at What a Barb Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
And you can now find more than 4,000 pollinators on reddit.com/r// Polin Bridgerton.
And my darling beans, please can you do us the honour and take it away?
Das violin. Do 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 do.
A Polin podcast.